ART1 artists, we are going to set up our color theory and color mixing sheet with acrylic paints. So first you're going to start with a ruler and a pencil and mark every inch up to 7 along the top of your paper. This is a 9 by 12 drawing piece of paper, so make sure you have a large enough sheet. Drawing paper, not copy paper, is suggested, as copy paper will just soak up moisture and not keep your paper in a flat, generally flat condition. And then I'm going to move my ruler to the bottom of the paper, marked every inch up to 7. I just slid it straight down. Then I'm going to go to the left side, mark it every inch up to 7. Okay, then I'm going to connect my marks on my right side lightly down, and I'm going to mark every inch along that line. Okay, then I can connect my dashes starting from the bottom, and there's my square. And I'm going to erase all of these, well, not those marks yet. I'm going to erase that line down. Then I'm going to connect all my dashes, stopping at the last bottom line of my square. And same thing across. Does not have to be perfect, as long as you have the same amount of boxes. Not looking for perfection, but do know how to measure and make straight lines. Okay, and I want you to put your name in the top left corner and the hour, so either 1st or 6th for this class. Then I'm going to draw a circle on my right side. I'm going to use a compass. However, if you have a dish at home, such as a cottage cheese container, a lid, anything that will fit right here will be perfect. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and hold down my center and just draw a circle that fits in this area. And then we are ready to go. I have my paints that are red, blue, and yellow, water, paintbrushes, and we are set. So first we're going to start off with the kinds of colors on the color wheel. So we're going to determine a shape for each kind of color that is on the color wheel. So I'm going to pick basic shapes that are very different from each other, such as a triangle, circle, and a square. The triangles are going to be my primary colors. And my primaries are same thing like a primary number in math. In math, a primary number is a number that cannot be multiplied besides itself and by 1 to get its number as a result. A primary number cannot be made by mixing colors. So that would be, I'm gonna put my triangles in a triangle format. And these colors would be my red, yellow, and blue. I'm gonna go ahead and paint these in. Next, my circles are going to be my secondary colors. And these are colors that are made by mixing two primaries. So red and blue. And these are going to be located in between so every color on the color wheel, they're always located in between the two colors that are mixed together to get that color. I'm gonna put these, which these also kind of form a triangle together upside down. When I mix colors, I usually always start with the lighter color first. So I'll take a little bit of yellow, rinse my brush. Then I'll take a little bit of blue until I get a green that is not too yellow and not too blue. And then I'll paint that. In the circle. Same thing for my yellow and red. Start with yellow. Grab a little bit of red. Because the darker color just dominates lighter colors like yellow. And it just takes so much yellow paint. If I were to start with the darker color first, such as right now, it's really red. So I'm gonna need a lot of yellow to make this into an orange. Or I can take a little bit to the side and mix that by itself so I'm not mixing so much paint. Here's my orange. And then lastly, my blue and my red to get my violet. So as I'm mixing, you'll notice that my paintbrush, it is not getting paint in the metal piece of my brush. That is the ferrule. If you get paint above this metal piece or even really close to it, you will eventually ruin your paintbrush because it'll just become clogged with all kinds of dried paint. So never mix paint into that ferrule piece. Ferrule piece is where all the bristles are held together. Okay, so these are my secondaries. Lastly, we then have tertiaries, which are going to be my squares. And these are colors that are made by mixing a primary and secondary. When we name these, we always name primary color first. So for example, when I mix my red and my orange together, the name of that color is red orange. not orange red. So I'm gonna put all of these in between all of my colors. Very lopsided circle, not my best work. Okay, so what I already have is I already have an orange, a purple, and a green made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split each of those colors in half and just add more yellow, more blue, so that I can create a blue-green. So I'm going to kind of take part of my green, put it somewhere else. Then I'm going to go back and get a little bit more blue, so that I have more of a green and blue with more blue in it, and I will paint that next to it. Might need a little bit more blue. And then with my other part of my green, I'm going to add more yellow to it to get my yellow green. It's a bit more of a warmer color. Split my orange in half. Some more yellow. And I already kind of made a red-orange. I might just mix that in there. All right, so that is the color wheel. Okay, so then we're going to move over to this bottom section, and we're going to talk about how do we make these colors darker and lighter. So to make a color lighter, we add white. To make a color darker, we add black. You need absolutely the smallest amount of white and black paint for this part. So even if you get too much, you can write plastic over top of your palette or plate later to save it for next time. So when we add white to a color, it is called a tint. And then when we add black, it's called a shade. Okay, so we're actually going to paint this a little bit. So I'm first going to paint the normal color without white or black in it. And I'm going to choose red. And I'm going to take a little bit of red and add white. And this will end up making a bit of a pink color. So pink is not a color, it is just a tint of red. Okay, same thing for my shade. I'm actually going to choose yellow. And when I add black to yellow, it might make a bit of a green color, because the crazy thing about black is sometimes, well, most of the time, it has a bit of blue in it. And it will end up making yellow a bit greenish just because it has that little bit of blue. Doesn't take much, just a tiny little bit. And it does look really green, lucky color. And there's my shade of yellow. The last thing I want you to know is how to make brown. So just as a side note here at the bottom, I'm just gonna write brown. To get brown, which we know this when we mix in watercolor techniques, you either mix two complements together, which we will go over what a complement is in a second, or all the primaries. Because really, when you mix two complements, you are using all of the primaries. So all the primary colors, remember, are blue, red, and yellow. Okay, so I'll go ahead and practice mixing a brown. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue, and I already kind of did this earlier with a prior class. Some red and some yellow. I need to get some different yellow. I've kind of messed that up. I'm going to mix it together gently, and it looks a bit blue to me. So that means I need more yellow and red, because if it's blue, I need more orange. Orange and blue make each other darker. Actually, I get a bit more red and a bit more yellow. This should turn into more of a caramel brown. There we go. And I'm going to paint that next to here. And it does look a bit red. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna set this paper aside. Make sure your name is at the top so we don't lose it. And we are going to come back to this in a second. And we are then going to talk about color harmonies. Color harmonies are colors that go really well together. They have certain colors that match it based on the harmony you choose, and they really make each other pop. Some colors blend well together, but most of the time they don't, just because they are so opposites, but they look good side by side. So the top of this paper, color harmonies. Have fun when you take notes. I always like to add a little bit of pizzazz to my notes. Okay, the first color harmony is a complementary color. Okay, and complements are two colors that are located across from each other on the color wheel. Okay, and I do want you to draw a color wheel to the right, just like we did with watercolors. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and also include your tertiaries. Oh, I did this one backwards. Make sure you always label the primary first. Okay, so what this would look like, two colors across from each other, is I pick a certain color. I go directly across, cutting the circle in half on the color wheel to find my complement. Okay, so blue and orange are complements, red and green, violet and yellow, blue, green, and red, orange. Okay, so any way you cut this color wheel in half, those two colors are complementary colors. So we're gonna paint these next to each other. I'm gonna take my blue. Take an orange I've made already. And they make each other pop. I'm actually gonna do this for all of the main complements. So we got violet, and yellow, and then our Christmas colors, red, and green. So like I said, these colors don't mix well together. However, when they're side by side, they really make each other pop. Okay, second color harmony is a split complement, or split complementary. And so this one's a bit confusing. So a color and the two colors on either, on both sides of its complement. So let's break that down. After we make our color wheel here, all right, so a split complement, it says a color, so I'm going to first choose a color. So let's choose violet here. And the two colors on both sides of its complement. So I know yellow is its complement. However, it says the two colors on the sides of it. So if I go across, I then split, like it says a split complement, and I choose the two colors on both sides of its complement. So I don't pick just regular yellow. I pick the colors that yellow is mixed with, the tertiaries. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paint those together. So I've got my violet, and then I've got a yellow orange, and this is just an example. This isn't just the only split complement. You can pick any split complement, and then a yellow green. Might need to add a bit more yellow to that one, but you get the hang of it. All right, a third color harmony is analogous. 3 colors next to each other on the color wheel. And these are this is probably the only color harmony that these colors actually mix well together. Because I like to think of this as sunset colors, or all warm or all cool. I like to switch this around for some reason. Okay, so 3 colors next to each other on the color wheel. So I could literally select orange, yellow, orange, and yellow. So those would be 3. I could also select like violet, and blue, or blue, green, and green. Any 3 colors that are just next to each other side by side. Got orange. A yellow orange. And a yellow. So they obviously look like a good grouping that would mix well because they're all made of each other. All right, last color harmony is called triadic. So 3 colors that form a triangle on the color wheel. An example of this that we know of already are our primaries and secondaries. So if I make my quick color wheel, I know that these right here form a triangle. They're my primaries. I know my secondaries form a triangle. And if I want to get real creative, my tertiaries would also form a triangle. So red, violet. How I can easily quickly know which one is a part of it is violet and yellow are opposite, so they would have to be closely forming a triangle. And then blue, green would also. But the main one that we know of are our primaries and our secondaries. Form a bit of a star. So I'm just gonna go ahead, paint my red. And this reminds me of like kindergarten colors, or just like the blocks or ABCs that we would play with when we were little. They're usually our primary colors, those building blocks. All right, and those are our color harmonies. So the last thing that you have to do, so we're gonna set this aside. This is your notes for color harmonies. The last thing that is this grid that we did on our first page. So across the top, you're gonna label all the colors. There are 6 main ones. And careful of your paint if it's still wet when you're writing. And then do the same thing down the side. And you're going to mix all of these colors together to create a very colorful square. So you're going to start with the colors at the top. You're obviously going to have colors that are plain or just straight colors, such as red and red. That is just red. And it's going to form a triangle, or sorry, not triangle, a diagonal of all the straight colors. So we got orange, yellow, yellow, green, green. They will all be right in this diagonal center. So if I start with my reds, I just add red, then I put orange into my red, so it'll be like a red orange. Red and yellow, we may know that will make an orange. Red and green, that should become a brown color because those are complements of each other. And you're just gonna fill that in all the way. And you'll end up having a very colorful square. Just practicing mixing and realizing that when you mix certain colors together, they are the known colors on the color wheel, or they make new colors that are a bit more brown just because it has all the primaries in the mix somehow. Okay, so turn these notes in on canvas when you are all done. It is a lot to take in. However, it really gets you comfortable with mixing acrylics together. Let me know if you have any questions.